Hi, I'm Stephanie Rideout, Leadership Fellow at Women Who Code for the Python track. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Jinzhou Huang. She is Director of Data Science at the Home Depot. Jin has 15 plus years of experience applying data science to retail applications. She is a keen observer of how AI impacts our daily lives. Thank you for joining me today, Jin.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Wonderful. So I'm very excited. So to start us off, would you like to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your career history?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Always respected Women Who Code. So important to have a community, especially at this difficult time when most of us are working from home and maybe have that sense of disconnected. So really great to have a community where we talk to each other and just share life stories and tips. So real quick about myself, I actually sort of started in the humanity area. So doing my PhD in sociology at University of Minnesota. Sociology turns out to be very quantitative. So I decided to pursue a statistical career at the same time. So I also finished my master's degree in biostats. And both disciplines helped me to recognize sort of a lifelong passion, which is to use experimentation to discover truth. So, biostats use a lot of clinical trial to decide if a certain medication is good for our patients. So that passion for experimentation has carried me throughout my career. I started at Target, where I did a lot of machine learning stuff, but also try to build their experimentation platform. And when I come to Home Depot, that's what I started by doing, continuing into using machine learning to drive experimentation as well.
Oh, that's really fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that. So could you tell us about working at the Home Depot and the work that you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually very fortunate, I feel like, very blessed to be at Home Depot at the time when I joined about 10 years ago. At that time, we actually do not have a data science practice at scale at all, if any. I remember our first data science team picture has about 5 people. Now we have over 100 people under data science. So the growth has been tremendous. And the area we primarily focus on is to bring machine learning, right, to see how we can best help our customers. A couple of our key programs include to help customer find product in a faster and easier way. I'm not a huge DIYer myself, so I always need help when I don't know what's the right tool to use, right? And data science use their machine learning skills to say, okay, is this the right drill, for example, for the project you're doing? So search, product recommendation are one of our key areas. And then we also do a lot of data science across to help you, for example, to get product to you faster in our supply chain, or to help you to do assortment better so you know the right product is waiting for you in our merchandising assortment planning. So data science, I'm really happy to see, is widely used across Home Depot to drive our service to our customers.
Wow, the Home Depot sounds like an amazing place to work, and it sounds like you're doing a lot of amazing work there. What can you tell us about the company culture and the Home Depot's commitment to diversity?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such an important question, I think, for anybody considering, because culture is what keeps me here by and large, and the work, right, itself. So I am really happy to see a lot of initiatives at Home Depot that's very focus on promoting diversity. So we have, for example, monthly talks around diversity. We invite speakers from outside to talk about it. We have themed talks, either a while ago, for example, very near and dear to my heart. We have, there's some violence against Asian, especially women in Atlanta area. And when that happened, we hosted multiple talks about, respect at workplace, and just how do we communicate difficult questions, even including how do you tell your children stories like this so they are prepared. So I feel very supportive from those conversation point of view. But more importantly, I think it's not just what you say, but also what you do. So what I was particularly encouraged in terms of diversity, one being, coming from China myself, it's very important that I feel like there is no glass ceiling for me being a woman and being, not white. And also, like take hiring practice, for example. This is where you really see, right? Are you hiring in a very diverse way? And I'm super happy that at Home Depot, across the board, especially in data science. So for example, for our teams, we have team member from Egypt, we have team member from Jordan. In fact, the guy from Jordan, is our senior director for data science. And we also have lots of people from Europe. We have people from Africa. So more than 10 plus countries representing a really rich, diverse cultural background. And so the practice in hiring, and because of what people bring with them once they join the team, I think very organically and naturally promote a sense of we must learn to respect and work with each other, respect the difference, understand the difference, and then make the best out of it. So it's really a matter of figuring out how 1 plus 1 is bigger than 2 in this case. And I think when you have a very diverse team, a lot of times that will happen very organically, and that's what I like about it.
Oh, that was very insightful. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Sure. So let's kind of turn over to data science topic. So what are some advances in the field of data science you are passionate about?
Wow, my favorite topic. So there are an amazing amount of data science advancement. I wanted to focus on maybe just 2 areas for the short talk today. So the first one I'm super excited about is in the field of reinforcement learning. Most people, when they think of reinforcement learning, first, some people may just ask, what is it? Because it's so new. But a lot of people know about it, understood it as being the application in the robotics field. So for example, how does your mop learn to figure out where the dirt is and not to run over your cat, right? So that's reinforcement learning applied in robotics. So the question is, how is reinforcement learning applied to a retail setting? And that's actually one question we are actively trying to figure out together with many in the community. So at Home Depot, we are excited to try out 2 things. Earlier, I mentioned my passion is experimentation. So naturally, that's the first foray into this. I tried. So a family of algorithm called multi-arm bandit or contextual bandit is where we use reinforcement learning technique. So similar to sort of a gaming strategy, right? When you go play in a casino, you wanted to maximize your return. So when you have different machines to try, you may just randomly try them out, find a winner, and then bet more on the winner. But at the same time, you keep on trying out the machine in case there's an opportunity return or cost on the other machine. So same thing at Home Depot. One concrete example, we have lots of different, as data science, we all know we have lots of different versions of algorithms. So sometimes, for example, you take forever to do the right parameter or hyperparameter tuning. So you have many versions of algorithm. Wouldn't it be great if there is a bot that can select the optimal algorithm for you? And even better would be the contextual sense where the bot can identify customers' attributes and basically figure out, because of these attributes, this customer welcome this experience better. So what we did is, again, the same game theory strategy of continuous experimentation, but when we find a winner, we will let more customer enjoying that winning experience. So again, contextual multi-arm bandit, tremendous, but I think there's a lot of unknowns too, because we're working on, for example, academic paper to see what new algorithm we can develop in addition to the existing ones. And we encountered a lot of unsolved problems, so very excited about that. So the other super exciting area of data science application in retail is in the visual AI field. So one example, and this product actually I love and helped me a lot, is how to use a visual cue to buy the right furniture in your home. I'm not so good at home decor. So what I do, like many of us, right, is to go look for inspiration outside. Like you see a picture on house, or if you go to Home Depot, actually, there are lots of beautiful rooms in picture. So what happens when you see a room that looks like your dream home? So what we do is to use what we call complete the room algorithm. There are different parts of this algorithm on the website. And if you're interested, definitely take a look for yourself. So when you have a room scene, what we do, right, from an algorithm point of view, is we first apply an object detection. So out of the room scene, I can detect, for example, here's a beautiful sofa, here's a chair, here's a side table. So the objects were detected. And then we will apply a visually similar calculation to figure out, based on the style of this couch or the color or whatever other salient attributes of this product, what are the similar products that Home Depot has in their inventory. So in case this product is not exactly what you needed, or you want a, for example, slightly different price point, we have similar, visually similar product you could choose from. So that's the second one, visual similarity. The third algorithm we apply on this is to make sure you have a complete set of room. So based on not just similarity, but based on our stylist recommendation, what is good coordinating item? For example, if you have a blue couch, what is the right color or shape or style for a side table or for a lamp on that side table? So then this is a coordinating algorithm. It's pretty sophisticated. We have to have our stylist to train the algorithm with the right label first. So lots of work goes into it, and we're happy with the final product because we help customers to put together a very beautiful room with the right style that's personalized to them. Hopefully that example shows how visual AI is helping Home Depot's customers to buy stuff for their house. Hopefully that gives you a view of the cool projects we're using machine learning at Home Depot.
Yeah, that is so amazing. There's so many amazing advances right now in the fields of data science and AI. So thank you so much for sharing the ones that you were most passionate about. I'm sure there are many more. So what are some ways that AI impacts our daily lives, and how can data scientists practice social responsibility?
Yeah, this is probably one of the most important questions. I think it's all our responsibility actually to think about it. And I certainly do not remotely claim I have the answer or right answer for it. But growing up as a sociologist, it's natural to take sort of a social responsibility lens to many things I do. So when I think about it, right, I think two areas maybe I could comment on. The first one is how does AI directly impact human life? And then the second area is how do we minimize the bias that we potentially would carry on from our human reality into algorithm, and how do we avoid replicating some of those bias in algorithm? So I'll give you a couple examples maybe for each of these points. So I think when you think about how AI impacts human life, naturally, the very first thoughts many people would have is, well, because it's automation and it's doing things at scale, it may replace more manual work. And that is certainly something we need to recognize and has happened in history, right? So our view of it, so for example, take our call center associate, for example, right? We recognize, me as a customer myself, when I call for help, I absolutely want to talk to a human. And Home Depot absolutely recognize our associates are our most critical and important resource. So we want to make sure whatever we do is making our associates' life much easier. So instead of trying to think about do we replace, right? What we are focusing on is how do we make our associates' life easier. So the example I have is we actually, sometimes when customer call, you don't just call once because it may be a difficult problem. You have to call multiple times. So we have an algorithm that basically use natural language processing or NLP technique. It reads the transcript from your previous conversation, automatically summarize the gist of what your problem might be. And then it shows the next agent you're talking to a summary of the previous conversation in a very succinct way. And the bot is smart enough. Let's say you're looking for a product or looking for an order status update. The bot is also smart enough to automatically go into other system to fetch those data. So instead of agent putting you on hold to say, let me read my notes, or say, can you wait until I find out your order status? All this information, the bot automatically push to the agent, and then they will quickly basically be able to help our customers and make their life much easier through this example. So I personally absolutely love initiatives like this because, again, it's sort of a great way to help everybody work more efficiently and our customers much happier because they're not on the phone for 5 minutes. So that's one example for how we're thinking about how we best use AI to impact our daily life. The other point I mentioned earlier is about bias, right? So I think it's almost inevitable that some bias would leak into algorithm. We've seen in the industry reporting there are companies who has AI doing hiring practice that reflected maybe a sexist practice rather than a fair practice. We have seen AI labeling people incorrectly because the training data is unfair. So becomes more like a racial profiling rather than a very fair label. So the question is, how do you prevent that? Again, I'm responsible for machine teaching at Home Depot. So this is a very big problem for me to consider. And I think about it a whole lot of how to teach the machine correctly. So the bias is minimized while you respect the accuracy of your algorithm output still. So we actually spend a tremendous amount of effort doing machine teaching to assure the machine is not predicting something that is reflecting that bias. So quick example, last year we validated over 1,000 algorithm version, and then we used probably over 1 million data points to do labeling and validation to make sure our algorithm is prevented from the bias. By far, I think machine teaching is probably only a very small, frankly, measure to prevent that from happening. So ideally, all of us as the industry should come up together and treat this problem more seriously. I would love to hear more from the community how they handle bias in AI.
Yeah, that is such an important topic, and you covered it so well. Thank you so much. Sure. So I think we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about networking. So what advice would you give female leaders and data scientists to enhance their networking skills and level up in their careers?
Yeah, this is, again, a very near and dear topic to my personal experience. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually a very introverted person. I would be very happy just to go hiking in the woods by myself or read a book. So networking, frankly, does not come naturally to me at all. Not only that, it's sometimes difficult for me to make that effort because it's very much out of the comfort zone. But throughout my career, I got a lot of good coaching from people who were successful. And instead of just teaching me how, just like, hey, you have to network because this is a way up, I think what's helpful is to for them to help me to understand a few more things beyond just go networking. So the two things I think that resonate most with me and hopefully resonate with this community as well is I think it's critical to manage your personal brand and make that part of your very conscientious effort as your career progress. So one very simple tactic I would suggest is to identify a few trusted either mentor or friends, people you're very comfortable with, right? Or people you think are critical for you as a sponsor in your career. And very sincerely just ask for feedback. And the question I would just ask is keep it simple. I would just suggest, what's your, like, for example, Stephanie, what do you think in your mind, what is Jane's personal brand? So that actually opens up a lot of conversations, some of them very comfortable because it might be positive, and sometimes you're surprised because it's uncomfortable. It is not who you think yourself are. But to expose ourselves to how other people are seeing us is critical, because other people's perception, even it may not be true in your mind, is the reality you live in. And that perception might be amplified when you do, for example, the leaders might be doing career planning for you without you in the room, right? So in that case, the perception becomes very important. So how do you manage that perception is a critical effort, and you need to start with understanding how they perceive you. So don't be shy. I know it's not comfortable, but once I start to do that, I think it's actually super helpful to make me realize where I really am in that perception realm. So that's sort of the first suggestion I would make. The second one is, I think being technical experts, right? Most of us are very confident with our ability and with how we can help people. So one day we have a leader in our merchandising realm could give me a really great advice. She said, the worst thing any data science always come to ask me, and she's like, I don't know why they always do this, but it drives me crazy. And it's totally not helpful. They always ask me, how can I help you? And what can I do for you? So when I heard that, I was like, well, why is this bad, right? Because we are trying to be helpful. So I was really baffled. And so she explained to me, she's like, for one, merchandising is a very specialized domain with many years of experience behind merchants' knowledge. So you don't understand anything of our context. And then on the flip side, I don't understand anything about what data science can do. So when you put me on a spot where I have to say, how can you help me? I don't know how you can help me. You need to first understand my problem before, and then we work together, right? So I thought that was a great lesson I learned from a networking point of view, because sometimes you are intending to be do good, right? But nevertheless, the way you're doing it may not be the most effective way of doing good. So how do you position yourself not as a just technical genius and potentially be the smartest people in the room? It is not that important you always appear to be the smartest people in the room. It is frequently more important if you appear to be the person who understands the context of the partner you're working or collaborating with. And then, so for me, that's a great learning experience myself. And that ever since I started trying to do that, it helped me a lot. So hopefully that's helpful for this community as well.
Yes, that is some amazing advice. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jen, with us. So what is a pro tip you would like to share with our audience?
Sure. So I think all the data scientists are probably, particularly because you're in data science field, it is absolutely critical for you not to stop learning and keep on being curious. So this field changes so much. Nothing I do 10 years ago is what I do today, right? It's so, and it's probably true for many of us. So staying curious and have a very effective way of continuous learning is very important. So you need to develop your own curriculum, and it's sort of a lifelong curriculum for yourself. For me, I think personally what works well is a lot of reading and just leave time for yourself. I know our life is so packed with work and deliverables and families and stress. but if I do have the quiet time, I think, again, reading, one of my personal lifelong love is just what both gets into a quiet space in my mind, as well as just learn new things. So when you do choose to read, if you want to try that way, I would also suggest a very diverse diet. This is like if you eat, right? Don't just eat things you like, also eat things that's good for you. So I don't necessarily like, for example, just very shallow industry article about AI because they're frequently incorrect. But I still go out and read, industry report about how other companies are using AI and trying to glean some truth from it. But at the same time, I also read academic paper published, for example, from university. I try to follow the math equation, even though if I don't always follow, right? So, and then by this reading very diversely, conference paper is a great venue. There's lots of great blogs if you're unfamiliar, right? Even YouTube videos or conversations like this. So just like we want our workspace to be diverse, you need to make sure your informational input needs to be very diverse as well. And be aware of the today's hyper-personalized world, right? Because in the hyper-personalized world, you might be fed by media or whatever medium you're engaging into a very narrow scope of material because it's personalized to your interests. But remember, like I said, don't just eat what you like. You need to broaden that deliberately and expose to things you may be not comfortable or familiar with. So, but be curious and just keep learning.
That is fantastic advice. Thank you. That is amazing. So, final question, is there anything else you want to tell us?
So I started by mentioning how, community like Women Who Code is so important. And I want to just re-emphasize that. We're entering the third year of the pandemic. My personal family is back in China. I wasn't able to go see them in 3 years, right? So I think a lot of us are in this state of semi-isolation. We're enjoying, very blessed with Home Depot, for example, has a flex work policy. So I enjoy working from home, not have to commute and battle with traffic. At the same time, I don't think any of us fully understood the long-term psychological impact that this would have on any of us yet, because we simply have not let enough time pass, right? So I think it's really, really important for people in this community to help each other. Just what are the ways you could do for yourself and take care of yourself? And what are the things you could do for the community and take care of other people? So more than any other time, I think, at least in my lifetime, this sense of community and what I can do together and survive this becomes more important in my mind. And so, yeah, I'm trying to just do that and give back to the community, but also take care of myself. And I hope you do the same. It's not easy for any of us. So but we'll win this together.
Absolutely. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful close, and community is so valuable. So Jin, thank you so much for joining us today. You shared so many insights, and your knowledge was so valuable, and I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. So thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, so mine, and thank you for the great work you guys do.